Hey, it's Demi. Welcome back to my channel. So yesterday I realized that classes start in 4.5 weeks from today. At my university, right here, classes start September 9th this year, and the school year, the academic session for fall 2020 and winter 2021 lasts until April 12th. That's just the classes. Past that point, we've also got about 3 weeks of exams, and since it's been announced that the fall term for 2020 will be offered remotely, meaning online, I figured I will share about my experience with online learning from the past semester. So my school, my university, announced that the rest of the classes will be done online around March 15th, which was just a couple of weeks before the end of classes. And it was kind of weird because of the whole borders closing and everything. I had to fly out back home as soon as possible. It was announced March 15th, and then March 17th I bought the ticket, March 18th I flew out, March 19th I was home. But the funny part was that I was supposed to go home anyway on April 5th. So in the winter semester, I personally had 5 classes, 3 out of which were my minor, which is linguistics, and 2 were from my major, which is writing, professional writing. And let me tell you, these two fields, these 2 programs are not the most suitable for online learning, I feel like. Even though you would think that with writing, you just really have to write, you don't have to be somewhere specific. But as for my 2 writing classes, one was conducted via a Word document. My professor just wrote out a Word document because that's how she expresses herself best. That's her, comfort medium. And we were only supposed to have about 1 or 2 classes anyways. One of those classes, we were just supposed to work on our project, and for the other one, she gave us a Word document. As for the second writing class, my prof is so out of touch with technology that even for our class, we didn't have it on Moodle, which is our Blackboard version. And instead, he sent us an email with an attached syllabus at the beginning of the semester. His main medium of communication was email. So needless to say, we didn't have any classes as soon as we went online. Instead, we were supposed to work on our articles, which were about 40% of our final mark. And it was scary because by the time they announced that the classes were going online, I still haven't had my interviews, which were necessary for the article. I literally reached out and conducted an interview the day before I was supposed to fly out. That was so stressful. I know it was my fault because I was procrastinating for a long time, but I didn't think things would turn out that way, right? If I'd known we were going into a full-on pandemic, I would have done my stuff earlier. Fortunately, it worked out well. I'll tell you why a little bit later. As for my linguistics classes, one of them was conducted by a pre-recorded lecture where basically the professor was just narrating slides. The second one was just slides. The same slides that she had used in the class. So basically she just sent us slides with links to YouTube videos. And honestly, I think it has to do with just the professor. She was a little bit older, and I think it's just her style. And only one class that I had was conducted via Zoom. When we saw the prof and we could ask questions in real life time, literally that was the only one. And that was really fun too, although there was only about 4 or 5 sessions, maybe 6. It was mostly the prof's face, and everyone else had their mics and cameras muted, which is very different from what I've seen on TikTok of mostly American students. The lecture is being recorded so that other students can watch it later. And if you want to ask a question, your voice is going to be recorded, your face is going to be recorded. So a lot of people just kind of opted out of that, which is cool, I guess. It's up to you, it's your decision. I think she did say at the beginning, no cameras, no mics, unless you want to ask a question, raise a hand, unmute yourself, and then you can talk. But if she was asking questions or trying to interact with us, we would just reply in the chat. It was pretty cool too, because I would watch those on my bed while drinking a cup of tea, chatting with my friends, being on Instagram, which is also something I would do in a real life class. So another thing that was quite extraordinary about the whole ordeal was that Some classes offered a mark based on 70% of the work you've done in the class. It's also called the assessed grade. And we had the same option offered to us 2 years ago when my school was on strike for like 5 months. And we didn't get to finish the school year by like a month, because the whole month of March again got cut off and we didn't take exams or anything. I think people still took exams after the strike was over, but that was way into July. And I think people like me, international students, were not there at that time. A lot of us, we just took the assessed grade. My writing class, which is the one where the prof likes to email people, he surprised me a lot when he reached out to everyone just a little bit before our articles were due. He gave us the option of our final articles, our final project's mark being decided by our current grade before that article. So for me, it was a B. It was like a B because he was really strict. I was fine with that because I didn't want to take a chance and ruin my grade by accidentally submitting a really bad article. Now, in terms of exams, because for my writing classes, I don't have exams really. It's just my linguistics classes and my electives. For the 3 of my linguistics classes, 2 of my exams were take home and 1 was just timed online. Or maybe it was just the quizzes. I honestly don't remember, but I do know that I did take home exams. And for one of them, we were given 2 weeks. We were allowed to access our notes, the textbook, and actually even the internet, but we were warned that that would not be as helpful. And although all of that sounds amazing, like 2 weeks to do a take-home exam, in reality, they were much harder than they would be if we had written them in class. Actually, I think this might be because I'm the kind of person who only does readings when I realize I don't understand something, or I'm studying for a midterm, studying for an exam. In order to write that take-home exam that I had 2 weeks to do, I had to reread pretty much the whole textbook. Like, I had to go through all the notes that pertain to different chapters and the chapters that we needed to know to answer the questions, because it was like essay style. In retrospect, I realized that if I had just done the readings on time, I maybe wouldn't have struggled as much, but I think out of those 2 weeks, I spent a whole week just sitting down for a few hours every day and just reading a textbook. And the actual essay part, I spent maybe 2 or 3 days writing. So that one's on me, probably, yeah. But there was another take-home exam that I had that was for my phonology class, which is a lot of practice. It's not so much theory as much as it is practice, which is probably why my prof really went for the Zoom sessions, because she had to go over stuff in the material in class with us. The take-home exam was quite hard. I spent 6 consecutive hours working on it while on the phone with my friends who were also in the class. 6 hours. I started at 8 p.m. and I finished at 2 a.m. I don't think we had that much time to complete it anyway. It was just maybe a few days, but I don't want to lie to you. I honestly don't remember. Like, that was so traumatic. My brain just repressed those memories. The funny thing was, that was my favorite class. I enjoyed it because its main objective was basically like problem solving in linguistics, and I love problem solving. Like, it's a weird thing to say, but I don't know, I like challenges, I guess. And it really blew my mind. I was so tired after it. My mom had to come and check up on me. She was like so concerned. The other take-home exam that I mentioned that I had 2 weeks to complete actually came in 2 options. My prof was being very generous because originally the exam was worth about 20%, but for those people who hadn't done as well on the previous assignments, my prof gave the option of the exam being worth 50%, meaning they had access to their notes, they had access to the textbook, they had access to the internet, and they could complete that exam. And if they did very well, that would have been 50% of their grade. Isn't that awesome? However, the catch was that the 50% version was way longer. So yeah, overall, online learning isn't that bad. You just have to be really organized and really self-disciplined. Some professors who are generally nice were quite lenient and understanding. I actually just remembered, I had this assignment for my phonology class, my favorite class, that I submitted about 2 or 1 day later. I forgot to submit it, even though I had completed it on time. As soon as I completed it, I moved on to the take-home exam, and I just forgot to submit it. And then a day later, I was like, oh my God, I missed the deadline. And she would have deducted marks for it, but I emailed her and I sent her a screenshot that showed that I have like that file was last opened before the deadline, meaning I had completed it. And she was actually very, very understanding. She's like, it's okay. Thank you for emailing me. I won't deduct marks. And I was like, thank God. I was so stressed, I cried. And if you ever have any personal circumstances that are getting in the way of completing your studies, you really should reach out to the profs or the department or whoever is in charge of that at your school. It's best to solve your problems right as they come instead of waiting until the last possible day when it's your exam or your quiz or your test and you're like, sorry, my internet's very bad, my laptop's broken or something like that. And as for my international friends, as far as I know, most classes will be offered as recorded lectures or as recorded sessions, so you can still access them later when it's convenient for you due to time zone differences and whatnot. You know, this whole online learning really played into my favor for fall because first of all, I get to be home, which is like my favorite place on earth. I mean, look at my room. It's amazing. I love it. And as for my schedule, I would have had an awful time if I had gone back to campus for fall because I have this class that I have to take on Mondays and it's a year-long course and I don't really like the prof. Sorry, I just don't. There was another class that I wanted to take for my minor requirements and it has a schedule conflict are occurring at an overlapping time because the first one is really long, the second one starts in the middle of it. So I wouldn't have been able to take it if it was in person. But because it's online, my prof said it's okay if I access that day's lecture because there's another one on Wednesday, I think. So it's okay if I access that Monday lecture after I'm done with that first class. So really, I'm the winner here because that second class that I really wanted to take is my favorite prof and I have her for 2 classes this year and I couldn't be happier about it. So hopefully that goes well, and if you have any questions, please write them down in the comment section or reach out to me on Instagram. I answer my DMs always. I hope you all get into the classes that you want, that your profs are nice, that your internet doesn't lag, and see you later. Bye.